This is an M07. I do not have a build video as of now, and to be honest, I do have one with the M08. They're very, very similar. I mean, some differences in the tub and where the servo goes, but if you can follow one, you can follow the other. But I'll be honest, I just wanted to enjoy the build. That's the reason why, without focusing on the camera or anything. Now, I am going to do a few pointers, and then after that, I'm going to show you some running videos and give me my thoughts between the M07 and M08. The running videos are for the M07 for this one here. But quick thing about the manual, when you're looking at these, you're going to notice there's going to be a few letters from time to time on some of the plastic parts, and then it'll have a number. So for example, it might say K2, C4, K6, for example, down here. All you have to do, because once in a while there might be little plastic bushings and it'll have a letter and a number, but they won't be in the little bags. That refers to these the parts trees, these little spurs here. So you cannot see because of the bag, but in here it has the numbers. So this one, for instance, is C1 to C4. So it'll say C1 to C4, and then in the bottom it'll say the other number, which is C3 to C6, so then you know to look here. That's the way it works. There was also some upgrade parts that you could consider just for durability, and those are like I said, the build is pretty straightforward. It's not the easiest compared to, say, techno builds, x-ray builds, because those usually have every single part per bag, per step. These, all the screws are in 20 billion bags. So you're better off just opening up all the screw bags, setting all the screws based on size, and then starting your build that way. But let's see, other notes. If you're running a brushless motor, one of the things to keep in mind is you're gonna need a spacer to shift the motor back or do something, because the tabs, if you have tabs bent forward on the motor, which many do, it's going to hit on the plastic and you're not going to be able to fit the motor. Slot machine, I think, is the one that you can slide in, but you want to solder the wires first, or else you might solder too close to the plastic and melt the plastic. This is a Justock ESC. In order to fit a Justock ESC with the fan, you will have to remove 3 of the screws. So 1, 2, 3, and then turn the fan a little, leave that one on, and it'll fit. Or just remove the fan. I'm going to end up removing the fan because my buddy's car doesn't have a fan and the ESC doesn't care. Never heats up. So this is a Hobbywing 17.5. Yes, these things can handle a 17.5. The pinion gear is the stock pinion. And let's see what other notes. This servo, I'm actually going to replace this with a ProTech servo. But this is a low profile, so get a low profile servo. It's easier to fit the servo. And then when you run the wire from the servo down, you're going to run it down. There's going to be a gap down here. So notice the wire. You're just going to run it and then run it back up. So do not run it down here, or else you're going to destroy the wire whenever you hit something. So there's a gap in there, just run the wire through there. That's pretty much it. There's no real heatsink except for the motor. The motor mount is the heatsink, and then it comes up through there, that little blue anodized bit. So in order to mount a fan, what I ended up doing is there's that little piece of aluminum angle that you cannot see, but that is, there we go, that little L. So this is from Exotech. Here, this little piece right here. So I just ran a screw. There's a screw and a nut, that black piece of aluminum that you can barely see, and that's what's holding my fan. So that's how I managed to put a fan on it. And those are really the basic things. The only reason why I'm running this capacitor to the RX is for the servo. ProTech, I don't need it, but Savox it runs better with a capacitor. So these two are going to come off, and that's going to come off. Now, something else to note is these are Team Power's wheels and tires. The front are 36 compound, the rear are 32. If you go with 32 and 36, this thing's going to be spinning like a top. It will not handle. But just by switching the tires, now this is not out of the box. I built it based on the manual, so I haven't really tuned or tweaked the car. But running the 32s in the rear and the 36s in the front, this thing was amazing and so easy to drive from the start. So by far, I would say this is one of the most fun RC cars that I've had and driven for a variety of reasons. One, the size, it looks very unique. And two, it just handles great. It's very predictable, as you're going to see in the running videos. And right now my car's going to show up. There it is. It's that burgundy color. Not that you can tell when it's in the shadow, but this is later in the afternoon. So as you can see, the entire track is in the shadow pretty much. Most of it, except for that one little bit. But the car handles great. The vehicle is actually very, very predictable. Now my buddy, the one that's kind of down there at the trailer, kind of hanging out, he has tuned his vehicle like you wouldn't believe. He actually has the M07R, which has a few other upgraded parts, some aluminum bits, shocks, with threaded bodies instead of the preload spacers. His car traction rolls, as it's pretty cool. Mine doesn't, unless I hit the apex, then it'll roll. But one of the cool things about these cars too that I didn't mention previously is if you get a body, so I'm running a Biddy designed body, it almost looks like a Honda Civic hatchback. He is running that yellow car, and that yellow car, so that was the tab to go, so I'm going to try to chase him. His car's a Volkswagen Golf looking body. The cars just roll back on the tires most of the time, and I'm saying most of the time just in case somebody decides to get the body and then the car doesn't. But as you saw, that yellow car just rolled back, which are pretty cool. That makes it really nice. It'd be even nicer if you just didn't get in the way. No, I'm kidding. But his car is actually much faster. He's a much faster driver. Maybe because of the temperature on the track, he was just, no, I have no idea. But once in a while he would traction roll, and that would give me time to catch up. But as you can see, here we are running. We're both running 17.5 motors. They are doing really well. See, he has motor. He has a lot of kV on that thing. I just realized, I knew his car was fast, but it wasn't until now. I have to ask him if he's running the stock pinion. I'm running the stock pinion. If he's not, then he has a crazy amount of timing in his motor, or I don't know, he's running some voodoo magic on it. We're running the same exact tires, well, it's precisely the same tires. We're running Team Power's wheels and tires. They come pre-glued, so both of us in the front are running 36 compound, in the rear 32. So having that softer compound in the rear really stabilizes the vehicle. Because the thing with these front-wheel drive lightweight chassis is that rear just wants to pass the front end. Think about it this way. Don't do this. Never do this. Be safe. But if you've ever watched somebody put really slippery tires in the back of a front-wheel drive vehicle, or there I was just moving the board. I didn't like where it was. But some people used to tie wood planks to the rear of those cars just to make them do donuts. That's pretty much what happens if you have a compound that's too hard in the rear and too soft in the front. These things will start spinning like tops. So you really want the hard compound in the front and the soft compound in the rear to get that extra grip in the rear. And then once you do, see, it just rolled the car and it rolled back to its tires. But once you do, these things, I would say, are so easy to drive. I mean, I was out here driving it, so this was the first time, say, practicing with the vehicle, And by say practicing, it was the first time practicing with the vehicle. I'm going to replace the servo, and then I'm going to do some tuning because on the straight it does seem to wander, so I'm going to have to check the droop on all four corners, see if that might be it. Maybe the droop is off. You know, just go through it with a fine-tooth comb, but we will see. But there we go again. So he has his little hatchback, and we're running. Unfortunately, the red shell is not here to practice with us, but that guy is kicks. I mean, he's a load of fun, unless he's hitting you and breaking your car. That's a different story. But we're hoping to start this little class. Tamiya has some pretty cool kits. I mean, Euro Truck, for example, that was a class I used to love racing just for fun. And there is a massive difference between the two. The Mini is, I would say, light years ahead of that. It's just far more fun. Oh, there's the red shell right down there. Really cool guy. If you ever have any questions or you want to know how to tune a vehicle, you can go ask him. If he doesn't have the answers, somebody else will, so don't worry about it. But just chat it up with him. He's a very pleasant, talkative individual. But here we go. So, I'm just waiting for my buddies to get close because I want all three of us to race, but the other one's taking too long. So there I am going with the red shell. So again, all of these are M07s, so some of the differences that you are seeing are tuning. Let's see, our motors are different, our electronics are different, but they're all 17.5s. I don't remember what everybody has. But you're also seeing a driver difference between them. So yes, the guy in the yellow car has the fastest vehicle. He's also probably the best driver. And the guy in the burgundy car, he's just good looking. That's really all he has going for him. And then the guy in the red car, he's the red shell. Just get out of the way, move, or careful when you try to pass him. You might be better off just passing his car instead of left or right. Just go over the car. It might be easier. But this is a vehicle that you're going to enjoy. Now, M07s, I don't remember where I bought my M07, but you can get some an M05. They're a little different. There's also an M06 and an M08. The M06 and M08, those are rear-wheel drive vehicles. M06 might be easier to drive than the M08 because it's a rear motor rather than a mid motor. It just puts a little more weight in the back, in less traction surfaces. Carpet, probably the M08 would work, but if I were to compare the M08 that I built and ran to this M07, I would say the M07 is by far the easiest car to drive. It's not even close. So if you're an individual that's very, very good at tuning, because the M08 is a rear-wheel drive vehicle, you may want to get the M08 and do the rear-wheel drive, because that could potentially be a little faster. But there's a moving target right there, it's a moving speed bump. But if you want something that handles good out of the box, that you can just mess around and have fun with without having to think about it too much, M07, by far, M07 is the best way to go. I would say this car, I mean, just look at the vehicle. I'm not going to be the best driver in the world, but look, we even have a moving speed bump there. We managed to dodge it no problem. So this is definitely by how the yellow car passed me. No, I'm kidding. He took the gap. But it really is loads of fun. And the guy in the yellow car, he's the one that convinced us to get the M07. At first, to be honest, I wasn't sure about it because I was thinking, it's like, oh, let's just do a Fortec. I already have a Fortec. They're loads of fun. So I'm the one that ended up caving in. So I got the M07. And to be honest, this is more fun than a Fortec. But going back to pricing, the ESCs at Justock ESC, those ESCs are just under $60. A motor, it's a Hobbywing G4 17.5. Those are, I don't remember, 100, 120, somewhere around there. And then the chassis, I don't remember where I got it, how much I paid. Maybe it was 200. I'm just saying. The R version, I believe, is about 340 if you got the R version. So if you got the regular card, you're still looking at about, say, let's just say close to $400, assuming you have a transmitter. But most of us have transmitters and a few spare RXs, so receivers, so we don't really worry about the transmitter that much. Plus, factory transmitters are usually not that great. But we'll see. Maybe someday I'll convince him to get a 208 chassis, which is actually a pretty nice race chassis for a 110 scale. And the only reason why is, if it's Tamiya, I'm not saying they're the best for racing, but one of the things I do like about them is the chassis, they're around for a long time, so finding spares is great. So if you're just, let's just say, you know, racing once a month just for fun, maybe Tamiya is the way to go. Well, I hope this video was informative, or at least entertaining. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not, and I'll catch you in the next one.
What? Oh, my hair! My rod!